Okay, I guess it's time for an update working on the three-wheeled bike. I've, with help of my neighbor, devised a plan. He's a genius, both him and his son, for working on this. Let me explain what I've done. Obviously, the three-wheel bike has two pieces removed. A pedal, that's because it broke. That's part of where the popping was come. There's two popping. The seat and the wheel. The wheel is simply held on. This is the free spinning wheel. The one that didn't mount. That one's on their chain, but this one was free. And all that my neighbor did when he built this originally, I've changed all the pieces like I said, but he hollowed out a back sprocket for the a cheap pedal backwards to brake bike. But he just had a thing. It just slides on there, and that it doesn't have threads. It just slides on, and then that went on, and then the nut held it in. Yeah, that's all that was. That held on the wheel nice and good. So what I'm planning on doing on that end is just attaching this bad boy. Let me give you some light. This on here. And how I'm going to do that is I have an old barbecue grill, which I'll just run across the house and show you, because this is probably going to be a 10-minute video, but you guys need to be able to see what I'm talking about. Like our little path here. Alright, so we come down into my dark, evil lair where I torture innocent kitties. Just kidding, I like cats. That barbecue grill, we're planning on cutting this off, this side, and if anyone knows if these things are welded or screwed or whatever, it doesn't really look all that welded. We gotta cut this side off, and then this side I believe is rusted out. Yeah, I can't use this side, but so we got one shot at this. We'll cut this one. Worst come to worst, if we needed another one, we could flatten this out, maybe the hood. You see, that side rusted out. I was saving these for a reason, but I finally know what reason for. So we'll take that, and just remember that it's just a circular piece of quarter-inch, no, it's bigger than that, half-inch probably steel. It's pretty thick. It, the opposite side that I'm using rusted out, and we had to retire it. But, so what it will do is, here's how big this little ring here is, that hole. And what we'll do is we'll cut it out and cut this hole out in the middle so it fits on here. All these blue dots will have a tiny hole about the size of these pins and a tiny screw with a nut. And they'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of these little screws, and they'll bolt onto this, and it will sit here. And if we need to, I can maybe add the hose clamp onto every other spoke, or absolutely worst come to worst, I found someone that can weld. He doesn't really want to weld for me, but he can if he needs to. So then I have this plate of metal here. What I'll do is I'll drill a hole for that to go in, put a couple washers so it sits up. It'll probably be about here once it's all said and done. And then this will be centered, and I'll just have a bolt. So that will be here. That's all attached to this, so this wheel's still free spinning. And what I love about that is if I eventually get a wheel that's this big, you know, this big compared to that big, you know, there's a big difference. This will be a nice sized tricycle then. It will, I'll just be able to unbolt it and re-drill the holes. So I want to do that. So that covers this. And then my motor, which I've had significant breakthroughs on right there, it will look something like like this. It'll be like this. So then what will happen is my motor, which is right here, which let's see if it'll run for us. It's on choke, it's on. There's no wheels anymore, obviously. Hold it. Kind of hard to crank this one-handed. It worries me to no end that I don't have a stand like every other YouTube person because I use my iPod. Well, anyway, it runs. And I attached this last night. There's a clutch here. There's a clutch on that, but it's just a rear sprocket that what I did is it's off of that little wheel I had. This is one of those pedal backwards. It's off, and all it had is when you take that off, that's attached to the braking mechanism. And it unscrewed. I don't know, the piece flew over here last night. Okay, just don't play in it. But anyway, so I just ground it off and it looked like this and it bolted on. So that will sit like this, you know, just slightly above that. So then you have a chain running from there to there, and obviously that's not centered. It's probably going to have to go up over here, really. But I'll take off this pipe and have a chain and everything, and that's going to be mounted from where the wheels were. And over here, this bolt, that big hole right there. And yeah, so then have my throttle cable hooked up on the handlebars, and I still want to cut the bike and weld it. So that's pretty much all the progress. The biggest is with the motor. It does more or less run and hold up. My camper's air conditioning is making a funny noise. Let me just peek in here. Gives me a problem. You have to bounce in it. Well, sometimes. Yeah, okay, it's just being stupid. The neighborhood girls thinks it's funny to run in here and play, but, you know, that's who I was talking to earlier. But anyway, so I got to do that. And then I guess I'll pretty much be done motorizing it, and then I got to move into upgrading it, which is where I chop this here. Well, not this bike, but I'll chop a big bike like this here, and down there, leave the seat post, chop this bike right before the seat post, weld that on, so I'll have 2 seat posts, use the newer bike seat post and crankset, bigger bike, then put it on the bigger wheels. So yeah, we're right at the 8-minute mark. I showed you everything I need to show. This engine is being stupid, and it's not running right. It's hard to get going, it's precarious, and runs in between choke and half choke. Then once you rev it, at first it won't rev and it bogs down. Then later, once it heats up, it won't idle. And it will bog down when you get the RPMs low. Once you get it up high, it runs. The hotter it gets, the lower it won't go. But when you first crank it up, it won't go high. Then once you get it hot, it won't go low. So if anyone has any tips, I'm probably going to do a separate video on this eventually. It's just I'm tired of fooling with it. I want to mount it and worry about it later. It's obviously this little Walbro carburetor, but it's so weird of a carburetor. I've never seen one like this. And see the air filter. This thing has, I think they called it a gas trap. It goes down, down, up. And then here's the air filter. So, see, it's a little Walbro. Where does it say? It says right there on that thing. You can't see. Right here it says Walbro. Oh, and where's the idle adjustment on this carb? I believe it's this. But I want to make sure, because the clutch is engaged when it's idling, and that's not good. But anyway, I got my work cut out for me, and I gotta, you know, do everything, and yeah, so, question, comments, or concerns, give me a shout. I would love to see what you think I should do, where on earth I can get new, better pedals. That's why that pedal